We are in chapter 3.
I am excited about this chapter because this chapter is the birth of the book. I mean, I don't know if you knew that.
No.
If you look at the front cover, it's the storyline of chapter 3.
It's what chapter 3 is.
It is. It
literally
is. It's really what started. The reason why I had it, I mean, we'll probably get into it, but I had to really put some substance first before I jumped right into the key component of the book.
Yeah,
so
man.
it takes a little bit of a journey to get there. But I felt like it was important to establish the other, things in chapter 1, chapter 2, and especially chapter 10.
Yeah.
For those who are maybe just tuning into this, chapter 10, I take you on a decourse after chapter 1 to chapter 10.
Well, you don't go to a fine restaurant and you don't just go straight into the meal, right? You got your appetizers, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
You got your meal and then
So,
your main course, and then you got the desserts, man.
Yeah.
The small chocolate.
This is where it gets fun for me because this is the meat of the book where it starts. This is the dinner, This is, this is when the dinner's about to be served and when you actually get to look at what's being presented by the chef for the very first time, And so the next, all the way to chapter 8 is the dinner courses, right, of the book.
Yeah.
So
well, let's hop into it, man. Streams, navigating deep waters. And I think in the beginning it mentions when you start to really dive in and start working with Tiff, and everything's just going, right? But in my mind, the first question that I had was, how is it, what pops out to you when you work with your spouse? Because I think a lot of people, not a lot, but there are people that work with their spouse, and some people can, agree or disagree with that kind of working relationship or whatnot. But I don't know, what stands out to you most in that experience?
Right away, the word trust, just bubbled up. There's nothing like operating with a partner that you trust. In every aspect of the business, I can talk to her about anything. So she's kind of like in this inner circle where we can talk about finances, employees, on things that they're going through, to vision, there's just a trust in a circle because that's your partner. And so I trust her, she trusts me, and we're able to share all these things. And so, partnering with your spouse can be challenging when you don't trust your spouse, maybe,
That's good. Yeah.
but in certain level of degree, but she's talented and, equipped in a lot of different areas in the business realm. So she just complements the things where I lack, and so we're just a good fit. I have great vision on things, man. Like I could see 5 years from now and I could see, paths to get there, but she's more logical and has more real take on things and understands a lot of the risks that I don't see. And so I've always get to rub, what the risks are, or I'll learn the hard way. And then she'll be like, I told you so, so, but she's also a servant of vision as well, meaning not serving my vision or a vision, a servant to God's vision, meaning she also has vision as well. And so just seeing those always align is always a beautiful thing too, and so I don't know what it's like with every husband and wife, but our dynamic is she trusts me in my arena and I trust in her in hers. And then when we overlap, that's just iron sharpening iron.
Yeah.
Good. Just like, hey, this is my lane, this is yours. And so when we stay in our lanes, man, I think, it's always been prosperous for sure. I love partnering with my wife, Tiffany. She's a beast, man.
When it comes to navigating waters, bro, I've read this portion, but what's your, can you kind of explain in your words?
Yeah, this is where the whole business and success and where am I going just exploded for me. I think I am a habit of nature as well, where I'll look on social medias and try to look, or websites, and try to look for what do I do? How do I grow? How do I, you know, become successful like other business owners. And so, you know, on social media right now, especially, there's just so much, you know, help. I don't know what you call it. Like,
it's saturated, bro.
it's saturated
really
by
bad.
so much, like, you know, different quotes, different ways of doing things. You need to
Yeah.
do it this way. Business owners trying to equip business owners. And it's just, you know, I as a humble student of the game, I want to learn, you know. And so I've gone through seasons where Tiffany could tell you where I've hired business coaches just because I'm not an educated business entrepreneur that went to college for 6 years and got degrees in business, right? And so I had this fear or insecurity that I don't know what I'm doing, you know, and in a sense. So yeah, I was being resourceful to look up things, but I felt like I needed coaching, and I would go through coaching. And what blew my mind is these coaches, they're like, you got like all your ducks in a row, man. Like, and then all of a sudden I realized I was coaching the coach and telling them what they should be doing in their coaching and certain things. And so it was just like every coach I'd hire, every thousands of dollars I would spend, I realized Tiffany started, man, at first I think she supported, but after she's like, after I give her like the feedback, like, oh man, this guy's awesome. And I told him he should do this. She's like, but what did he tell you?
Oh, let me say something real quick. When I came in here and I seen the way the tools that you utilize, sometimes I look over your shoulder and see all of these like data analysis and these graphs, and I'm like, Richie, what are you doing? And you're explaining to me like, oh, this is what we track every single thing. This is where you go, and look, if you click here, it shows blah 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 blah. You were nerding out, and I was like, yo, Richie is a beast when it comes to these things.
You see, me and Ray, we shared an office because I moved my office to the production room. And he was our lead production creative content specialist during that season. And yeah, he was able to Ray would just do his thing. And I didn't want to be bothered and just be in grind mode. But Ray always was there to see what was going on behind the scenes.
So it's like, I was thinking in my mind, I was like, this is not normal. I was like, you have to have some type of drive or in your case, maybe ADHD is a superpower, as we talked before.
It's a blessing and probably, I don't want to say a curse, but yeah, it
could be a blessing. Yeah.
It's got the two different lanes. But yeah, I believe God gifted me to understand how to navigate data analysis, how to break things in categories, how to scale. I mean, I just had it naturally and didn't know, but the point is that with these tools, with the coaching and everything I'm seeing on social media, I'm just like, I'm hungry to grow, and I see it growing because God's blessing this thing, right? And there's just so much work, so much opportunity. And so I just felt like, okay, if there's a lot of water, I need to get a lot of cups. I need to, continue the flow and overflow and keep growing. And so just on that pursuit, I just felt like kind of lost too. Like, where are we going, And so, and in this chapter, I use the analogy of being deep out navigating in the deep oceans because, I served 4 years in the Navy, did 2 tours where we went across the whole Pacific Ocean to the Middle East on a 6-month. It wasn't a cruise. It was a mission and come back. And I've done that twice. So I've seen some really deep waters, man. And I know that feeling of being out there where you don't see any land for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, and what that can do to you as a human, just being, and in the Navy, we obviously know there's a navigation happening. There's a captain, they know where they're going. But from a sense of, if they're not telling us and I'm at the bottom, like, what do we really know what's going on? It's like that kind of disconnect. And so that's how I felt as a business owner. I felt like there's a disconnect with, where am I going? What's the purpose? Is it just for profit, or is it just to grow in status, or like, but where's the land? You know what I mean? Like, what's the purpose in all this? Like, and I felt like I started losing a sense of, like, where am I going? What's the point? And that's when I really just wanted to seek God and say, man, I feel like lost in this ocean of people on social media telling me I need to do this, business coaches telling me I need to do this to get up to the mountain, keep growing, get to the top. But then what's up there? It's like, like, what is this?
When did you realize that you had no navigation or no map, I guess, in a sense. Was there a shift in like an event in the business that kind of caused you to realize, like, what am I even doing here? Or
Well, it might have been an internal thing. Just I've always seeked purpose with God and intent, you know. And when we started this, it was with God, and I just felt at the time like it was fruitful, but I have to attach something to it with God, or I don't want to be in it. I started losing the interest, almost like an overwhelmingness of constantly being pushed to the top, at least in a sport. We know time runs out and you got to win a game. You know, that's the goal.
yes,
But right now I'm like, what's the goal? Like, what am I doing? Like, am I just trying to like get money? Am I just trying to provide work? Am I just trying to be the best on the island? Like, what is the point in this? And so I think when, you know, we signed up for the union, we became a union contractor because that felt like the right next thing to do. We are hiring employees. We're growing our workforce. We just got a new office, you know, first time getting a real office and warehouse, you know, and just we're growing. And I realized the weight of what was coming with it. But then I'm like, is it worth it? Like, what's the point here? Like, you know, I started feeling that on the inside. Like, okay, I'm leading, but for what? Just the sake to lead, you know, I'm the owner for the sake of what? Just to be an owner. So man, it was just maybe late nights sitting in the office with nobody. Everyone's already back home having their regular lives. And I'm sitting there grinding estimates and just sit back and just say, what am I doing? You know, it's just, I don't know how to explain it, man. It's just one of those moments like, where am I going? Like if I don't have purpose, man, I lose passion and interest. Right. Mm-hmm. So, you know, originally the passion and interest was just trusting God, stepping out and seeing it happen and just being excited that, oh man, this thing is working. God's in it and this, but where are we headed? Yeah, we got it. Okay. We got this ship. It's working. We got a crew. We're out in the ocean. God put us out here, but now it's like, I don't have a GPS, man. Like, okay, we're just out in deep waters now. Like, and I'm reading, I'm seeing what everyone's putting on Instagram. And I'm just like, that's like, is that it? Like, and it's just overwhelming, man.
That's crazy. Cause, I seen this, while you're talking about that portion where everything's kind of popping, everything's, you know, you got your crew, business getting better, you got more employees. There was one specific image in my mind came up, bro, where you would have meetings. I think it was like every Wednesdays or something, in the meeting room, but the room would be absolutely filled with all the leads and I was in my mind, I was like, whoa, like this is getting big, like. But I see that now where you're thinking, like, what you're saying here is like everything was going big, but what was the real purpose of that? Was it just a facade of, you know, having this image and it being an example of what success is? Or because sometimes in my mind, I'm like, what does success look like when you're in the business? And as I continue to read this, you know, you get all of the things that you imagine in your head what a successful business looks like. That image came up and I was like, okay, that does look like success. But deep down, it's like when you're at home or when everything's by yourself or alone, you have these thoughts again. It's like, okay, is that really the purpose or whatnot? Yeah, but I just seen that image for some reason with the room filled.
Yeah, and you know, when you see growth as somebody who's stewarding a business, you get excited in those moments, and you see them. I see them too. Like I'm looking like, wow, there's so many leads I get to pour into and equip them to go out there, and those are exciting, you know, firecracker moments. You know, where you're just like, man, okay, but like. I'm not attracted to the success that everyone's preaching though. Like, where is it going? Where does it end? Where does it fulfill? You know? And so, those deep waters, man, they can get a little lonely when you start actually recognizing you're in the deep ocean. You know, it's like there's a quick fear that can come over you. Like, you know, what if I fail? These guys out here, you know, and I've seen movies where captains take their crew out the ship and big storm comes and they all end up dying out there, you know, and I'm just like, oh man, like where am I actually taking these dudes? You know, where am I taking everyone? So leadership, I think, always has that. I think there's pastors, there's big time entrepreneurial leaders and people, even us as husbands, and you know, we hope we're leading well and not like leading them, you know, to deep ocean where there's no land or fulfillment, you know. And so And yeah, man, that was where navigating water started.
There was a portion there where you talk about the Challenger Deep, or mention the Challenger Deep. I have this where it says it's about 7 miles down below, and it's like when I read that, I was like, personally, I have a fear of like underwater and like where the reef is. And I think it's because I just don't know what's down there.
Yeah.
So every time at Waimea,
man.
we jumped over a rock or whatever, and then you can see the underground, but once you go deeper, it's like you can't see anything unless you go down. I'm scared. I'm like, I just don't like diving because I don't know what's down there.
Yeah, I shared this in the book, and it was very I had significance to a reason why I shared it. It's because, okay, let me share the experience first, man. Like,
Yeah.
it's south of Guam, and there's a part of the ocean, the Pacific Ocean, called the Challenger Deep, and yeah, it's about 7 miles deep, and it's one of our trajectories going from Hawaii to the Middle East. That's part of the pathway. And so when the ship gets over certain things, like, the captain of the ship goes on and say, now we're about to be going over the Challenger Deep, and gives us a little history and allows us to go out and just kind of look over and see, it's not, I mean, it's just water. Yeah. But there's certain things that we get to experience out there on water, and that was one of them. But I remembered, like, I didn't really have a significance. I didn't have a dial in on what 7 miles was, and so I was like, I did quick math. I was like, okay, football field is like 100 yards, and I did like how many football fields are in a mile, and I came up with like 18. And then
that's
how
I understand things.
Yeah. So I was like, what's 18 times 7? And I forget what it is, like 156, I think, or something. And I was thinking, dang, that's 156 football fields going down. And then once I realized that, man, I just felt like, I remember thinking, like, not like because obviously you jump in the ocean, you're still going to be able to swim, but there's a feeling of that depth under you. It's kind of scary, And so when I was in that season, I was thinking, man, I have God under me, but I couldn't imagine a business owner that didn't have the builder of all things. They would be like the ship going, not only lost the ocean, but nothing under them either, for 7 miles. And so I was just thinking, man, almost about other business owners, like what they must feel, what I'm feeling, but even like worse. It's like an empathy kicked in, of sense of like, man, I wonder how they feel sometimes, like at least when I get into that moment, I go, okay, I know I got God, under my ship. I got his hand. And so support me. And what I mean by that is my foundation, Tiffany's foundation. When we started, we jumped out with God, right? So knowing that he's under there, but just having that empathy to think about, man, how deep, somebody could feel in that lostness if they were in a place and didn't have God as well. That was where that connected for me.
How long were you guys that had to go through that?
I mean, it's quick.
Oh, it's quick?
Yeah,
oh, okay.
I think our ship is like 560 something feet long, and I think there's a certain length where you can call it a boat to a ship. And it's based on the length.
Yeah.
And so it qualifies as a ship. 10,000 pound ship. Can go 30 knots. I mean, we were a beast.
What's 30 knots? Explain it to me.
I want to say, I don't know the math, and I'll probably be wrong, but I'm thinking 40, 50 miles per hour.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah. That's fast for a ship?
Yes. Yeah. For a ship that size. Yeah.
Oh, 10,000. Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, that thing can book. And it's intentional because the ship that I was on was a warship that protected it was a U.S. cruiser missile protected, what do you call them? Carriers.
Mm-hmm.
And so 434? 34. Oh, we got input from Michael. So 30 knots is 34 miles per hour.
Okay.
That was close. I said 40. I gave it a little oomph.
Yeah. Maybe with the stream, with the current.
Yeah. So, yeah, we were a beast, man.
If you were the enemy, how would you make a business owner lose sight of, the core?
Oh, man, that's an easy answer, man. I think I would be like the mouse and cheese. I would put cheese in front of the mouse and just keep having him chase as far as I could away from his purpose until he goes off a cliff.
What's cheese?
Cheese is status. It's money. It's profit. It's the things that I was seeing on Instagram to grow your business. It's the cheese that you end up chasing, and you never arrive. That's the thing about it. You never arrive. And so that's where I connected the dots. I said, I don't want to go on this journey that there's nowhere, I don't have the arrival vision, like there's no place. Like I hear a lot of motivational speakers telling you, keep going, keep moving, keep going. And you just keep going and going. But the higher you go, the higher the fall.
Hey, come on, man.
Higher you go, the higher the fall. What are you climbing for, man? And we as business owners, I think we have to look through the lens of knowing that where is the contentment plateau? Where is that contentment level of saying, I don't need to climb anymore because my purpose is right here. And so we need to have that vision of where our purpose is and where we're climbing to versus just climbing a mountain, because when you get to the top of a mountain, guess what? The other side is a huge fall. And that's what I seen coming is like, and I've talked with very successful people doing luxury business homes that they've felt they've have everything you think is where you're going, the Ferraris, the mansions, the everything you think you would want in the big successful world as this is the status quo. And they're the most lost individuals. Sheesh. Because on the top of that mountain's a huge fall of nothing, man. And so that's what I didn't want. I didn't want to climb a mountain for the sake of a mountain. So I had to shift my focus away from the worldly way of doing it, man, and say, okay, God, where can I look for, direction?
In 2018, you had to shift. Can you talk about, for the listeners,
Yeah. I mean, this is the perfect moment because the name of the chapter is Heart of a King. So I was like, look, I'm just going to go straight to the good book, right? I'm to find out, okay, if I'm going to get a coach, it's going to come from the builder of all things, right? Because not saying that getting business coaching is wrong, but I needed vision first, man, to see if I'm even going to hire this type of coach or, and so I just needed direction and I needed to know like, what are we doing here? And so, I was just reading, studying, doing my devotions. And there is this one scripture, I think it was Isaiah 10:8 said, aren't my commanders to be kings? And just reading in the context of that and stuff, man, God really spoke to me, basically giving me like the direction on who to study. He was like, look, you're an entrepreneur. You have to lead and govern these certain things. He said, look into my kings in the Bible. And I was like, He was like, if you want to command my ship, aren't commanders kings? And I was like, okay, I'm going to go study kings then. So I went on this little hey, I'm going to study all the kings in the Bible journey. So I started studying them, man, just like King David, all of them. But I think King Solomon, David's son, who was the most wealthiest person on earth, and not studying him for the sake of that, but just knowing all the wisdom he had, he poured into books like Proverbs, right? And so I was really reading Proverbs, man. It was just like, a whole bunch of cool stuff, man. I was just like, man, this is good, right? But when I got to Proverbs 21, it's 21:1, that's when some dots started connecting with me and just an explosion of revelation happened, man, and just gave me a refocus of what journey I'm on and the what success meant to me now, and just kind of gave me this download of vision, man. And so it was it said the heart of a king is like a stream in the hand of the Lord, and he'll guide it where he pleases. And I was like, the heart of a king. And I was like, man, this was a heart issue this whole time I'm struggling with, right? And so when I'm saying, okay, I'm reading all this governing and how God works with kings and how he stewards, allows, and some he sets up for success, others to ruins because they just straight disobey him. But he's like how he operates with them. And then there's this one scripture that just says the heart of a king is like a stream. And I'm like, man, that's what I want. I felt like a pull, like, man, I want to know about the heart of a king, because that's what I want. I want my heart positioned properly, so I feel comfortable where we're going. Because right now I feel like what I'm seeing everywhere, my heart's not positioned right, and I'm just flicking cheeses left and right. Like, I don't want that. Boom, boom, boom. So the heart of a king really like grabbed me personally. Okay, what's the heart of a king? It's like a stream. Okay, and then I was like, okay, what's a stream? A stream knows its destination. It has a flow. It has a beginning and it has an end. And I was just like, wait a minute. Because I know streams, because in Peoria, we have streams where I'm born and raised. We have rivers. You know, I understand where a river comes from, where it goes, and there's just a constant current going one way. But I know an ocean as well. You know, being out there to sea for months and months and months. So I'm looking at these two different body of waters, Ray, and I'm like, wait a minute. I don't want to be in the ocean. I want to be in the stream. And it says the heart of a king is like a stream in the hand of the Lord, and he guides it where he pleases. And I felt like that Challenger Deep moment was like flicking the cheese too. I got the hand of the Lord under me if my heart's positioned right in this stream. So to me, I felt like, okay, my focus and my whole perspective shifted. I just got out of the ocean, Ray. I said, all right, I'm getting into a boat on the stream now, and I'm going to follow this flow, you know, because I see there's a flow. And I said, okay, now I just took the whole business like how I see it, right? And I said, okay, we're no longer in the ocean lost. I got rid of the body water. I took our business and boat, everything that God's doing, I just dropped it in a stream now, right? Visually in my head. Yeah. Okay, now I'm in a stream, and I trust and I know God's got me because of how we started and how we're rolling and how we're going. And I see the fruit and everything. But now I know and I can trust, if I'm in the hand of God, that he's already determined the destination. I don't have to worry about everything else. Why was I even worried? So I just like canceled the worry or the push or the drive to try to meet these expectations of the world. And I just basically took a pencil and just erased them. Said, I don't need to worry about that because the destination's already determined. And if I know the destination's already determined, why I had you guys read chapter 10, because I already know we won. I know we won after death. I know we've already won based on whatever God has in my life, because all things work together for good in Romans 8:28. So he knows in everything we do, we've already won. And now I'm believing that I can just trust and follow and roll with what God's doing, that the ending is already determined. And so the river, the stream, gave me a new level of confidence. And it started helping me understanding vision, understanding God started downloading like the end game for me, right? Because he was already giving me a confidence level to open my, what is called my mind or my spirit vessel to receive what he has for me. And what, you know, during that season was, hey, I want you to establish a new level of excellence, you know, in your work field. I want you to establish me being God, builder of all things, in your workplace. And I want you to do it, not say it yet. I want you to do it. That's your mission. He says, I want you just to operate the way, like, I got you. You're going to bump rocks. You're going to do certain things, but the flow is going to keep going. And some days, you know, the water gets shallow. Some will get deeper where you'll feel like a good flow, no flow, but it's always flowing. But just know and trust, I got you. And so that confidence gave me vision, man. I knew my vision now was to, okay, I'm going to, you know, partner with my wife to run this business, but we're going to run it how God would run it, as he is the CEO. And we're going to do it so people can see how to do things.
There's an application portion that I've seen here where you guys prayed a specific prayer, which was to close doors or to open the doors that you want to be open, Lord, or shut the doors that you want closed.
Yeah. That if you're a sales team, it sounds like crazy, but basically that's what the stream is for us is, you know, we leave the net, like a fishing net, open to catch all fish, but we also pray that the fish that don't make it is intentional, right? That he's protecting us from getting off the stream. And so we don't want projects that would derail us or get us off the stream. So that's why we prayed that. But we still pursued every client, every project like it was, because we'll never know. We have to trust God with them, the client saying no, but we serve with the same excellence, in the same level of as much as we can. Not saying we don't fail in certain areas, but we push for that. That was the example we wanted to set. And then if they said no, whether it was price or whatever it was, we even believed the no's were great, almost a marketing tool for us, because we've seen no's because of price go tell their friends that we couldn't afford them, but they were awesome. They come and we get this bigger project. So we never know how it's going to work, but we trust God with it. And it gives us the confidence when we get like 8 no's in a row. Praise God.
Interesting. Yeah, no, that's good.
And we've been there. We've had like a lot of no's, and every time we're like, yes, thank you.
Yeah.
And not like to say like we didn't want it. We want whatever God has for us, right?
How did that, I mean, you think about finances, how that translates to finances could seem a little.
That's where the trust comes in, man. So if I were to give an analogy, it's like, and that's why I think this perspective is healthy when you're operating and understanding like you're going towards a purpose. And if you have the builder of all things as your CEO and he's already, determined your destination, you're not lost out in sea. It's like if you were to go if you're in the mainland and you want to go on a country road trip from, Cali to Florida, right?
Yeah.
But imagine taking that trip, Ray, with no GPS, no map.
Yeah. I'm lost, bro.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what the ocean is for business owners. They don't realize it, but they're going on a road trip across the nation without GPS, without a map. They're just going. And they think they have a map because they're striving for success, but that's how lost they really are on their purpose, and can be. And so, when what God is for me is that, and some people, let me get this straight. Some people just want money. Some people just want status.
Sure.
They want all these things. And business can give you flexibility and all these things. And there's different reasons people do business, but I do want to let people know that, trust me, man, it's when you have it all, it ain't what you think it is. At the end of the day, when it's all said and done, there's a drop. As high as you go, there's a drop. So God is our GPS, man. And that's what the stream is it has a destination. When you have a GPS, and it doesn't even, like, sometimes you ever like driving down the road and then all of a sudden the GPS changes because there's a huge accident.
Yes.
That's what God does, man.
Come on, man.
It's like, oh, wait, don't go that way. Go this way.
That's good.
And it just keeps you on course. And sometimes there's delays, but it's the right way. It's the best way. And sometimes you take the wrong turn. You ever done that on GPS?
100%.
Yeah. You just kind of take the wrong turn. And your GPS is like, turn around, do this, do that. And so God's constantly doing that, even if you take a wrong turn. So that's what the stream is for us, man. It's and when you said, that could sound like worry when you go from here to here, but it's the opposite, man. Because if you can rest in knowing that the destination's already determined and you're putting success or whatever it is in God's hands, success now to me is completing each day for itself, and that's what, let worry be worry for today and not for tomorrow. It's like, just pay attention to today. So in the stream, you don't have to pay attention to the end anymore as much. Yes, you establish the purpose, the goals, the drive for the team and for yourself. Boom, God gave it, put it out there, boom. But we're just going to go on the GPS now and master each day as much as possible. Continue to throw plans out there, but throw that stuff out there. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Football plays, coaches like, throw this play, and then boom, defense change. Things always are shifting. So why not have a GPS in this? On
a practical level, what are the major differences on how you live your life as a business owner when it was not in that stream versus when you chose to be in that stream? Like, what was the difference between those two?
I think I was making decisions and being in the ocean, I was making decisions and choices based on what I seen and feelings. So like, I would see something and like, we need to be like that, or we need to do that. So I would make decisions that I think were more led to trying to establish who we are compared to how the world would want to see us or how the client would want to see us so I was making decisions to almost dress us to look like a certain thing, right? And so when I'm in the stream now, the practicalness of it, does it align with, the destination we're headed to? Those decisions aren't based on how we're dressing ourselves, because I have a destination determined with God and a purpose to establish a new standard of excellence. So if this is like a example is, if we're trying to establish a new standard of excellence in what we do, that means every decision we make has to align with integrity, with anything that aligns with God, and people were to dig in and look. And even if the surface didn't look and you dug in, you're like, oh man, these guys are operating in truth and integrity and honesty and all these things and hard work. And so we had to push to, make decisions based on those things versus the destination. So, or how we're going to look, so sometimes we don't look. There might be a moment you might look at us and like complain. But if you were to dig in and saw, you'd be like, oh man, they're just holding integrity. They didn't do those things for this reason. And that can really shift on a decision making for somebody. You want a homeowner to look at you like a certain way, and you have a way to present it to sell yourself, but then you're going to have to lie a little bit to do it. I'd rather not lie and lose the job. And then somebody goes, well, you guys, this, and this, and then boom, so.
Is it difficult to knowing that people don't know,
It is, man. It's the constant battle, but it's, you live for people's expectations. You die by their rejection. So that's a Lecrae quote. And I live by that, as much as I can, because I used to really live for people's expectations, and that's what the ocean is. But if you do that, as soon as they reject you, man, it hurts. And so, not that I don't want to serve people, but I'm not serving them for their reaction or their expectations. I'm serving him. And so at the end of the day, what is God's going to see is what matters, man.
Come
and so,
on.
it's hard. It's hard. Like, I just want to tell everybody, especially employees and the decisions we make, we can't tell them everything because, not that we can, but, we've had great examples of, trying to be super transparent with everything. And then everybody thinks they have the better way. And sometimes that's okay too, because then they end up leaving, not agreeing with, our way of establishing a new standard of excellence. But that's what we're going to do, man. We want to be the best at what we do. And every business owner has that desire to be the best. And there's nothing wrong with that, but when you dig under what is the best, you want to see God,
That's crazy, because I'm thinking, people do want to be the best, but what was the cost to get there? Was it,
you nailed it, man. It's are you going in the ocean trying to look for, whatever shortcut you can? It's more of a heart thing, man, about all this. I mean, there's a lot of practicalness, but it's a heart thing at the end of the day, that I want to be in a position of trusting him, being the builder of all things, and not trusting me. God knows, he's already forming you in the womb of your mother. I think that's when the stream starts, in all our lives. And then you're born, and the things you go through, some could be traumatic, some could be fruitful, whatever it is, God is there, and he's parenting and watching and trying to parent you through life to prepare you for this calling. So the stream's constantly happening. And I just encourage people to look back and you say, what was the stream of my life? And sometimes we look at, man, that, when I got, when I lost my scholarship in college football, I could look back and, whine all day, or I could say, what was God doing? Why did he allow that? All things work together for good. Why did my best friend die? I can just keep doing these whys, right? But then now looking back, when I shifted my perspective, man, I know that my calling and what God has for me, there's fruit along the way as well. And he's constantly had signs and bumpers, like on bowling alley for kids. They put the little bumpers, and they've been there my whole life bumping me. And you can get out of the bumper if you're not in the stream. You're in the ocean, man. You can drown out there, and, and you can die. So, but when you're in the stream and your heart is with God and he's got you, at least you're in a lane with bumpers, and and so he's preparing you for something, and that's what I mean by that. And with the ambition to calling is like, the ambitions are birthed. You know, he gives you desires for a reason. He's giving you skills and gifts for a reason. He's giving you what you want to call failures in those seasons and overcoming them or getting through them for a reason, preparing you constantly for this stream is what I call it.